In this video, I want to try to demystify PC gaming. I've noticed over the past few months and over the past few hundred videos that there are still a lot of misconceptions as to what PC gaming is, what it looks like, what the PC gamer looks like. Some people think that a PC gamer is a sweaty, dirty, cluttery human being that doesn't take a shower and has no life. I've seen some console gamers basically try to describe PC gamers as that, not knowing that you be walking around and you probably won't believe that a PC gamer is a PC gamer until you ask them or find out that they're a PC gamer. I mean, it's just really strange the misconceptions that we see across the board. Somebody said in a comment to me or on this channel, they said, if you play on PC and you tinker, I don't consider you a gamer. Not to that, I said, wow, that's interesting. Another person said, I like playing old school, and so console is just best for me. And I thought, wouldn't PC be the old school? Because, by default, it kind of is, somewhat of the basis for which we have computer games. Remember, they used to call them computer games. It wasn't until later that the name eventually got, in a sense, simplified as video games, right? So I want to go ahead and see if we can demystify this whole conversation. First of all, is pretty much comparing the comfort level of a console to a PC. The very first thing that a lot of folk will tell you when you actually say, hey man, a gaming PC is actually a decent option is number one, it actually requires a big learning curve and not everybody can actually put a PC in their living room and, enjoy the plug and play methodology of the PC. And they say that. And the honest truth is they are correct that not everyone is, interested in doing it. But what they're not correct about is that not everyone can do it. You see, there's the ability side, and then there's a side of interest or to be bothered by something you want to or want not to do. Does that make sense? And so what I want to do is give an example akin to buying a house versus actually building your own house. And, in this case, we're going to say building your house, and we're going to say, no, you hire a construction crew to do a lot of that stuff. I'm not saying building your house in the sense that, you dig and you lay your plumbing and pour your foundation and do all that stuff. No, 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 no. But many of you who know, I've never built a house before. I hope that one day maybe, the Video Game Fight School channel might be able to build a house for your boy. I'm just joking. No, it won't. Not with the way I'm making everybody mad. I'm just being silly. But I've seen and I know and I've spoken to people who've built homes who've basically gone ahead and taken on and I've asked them questions, right? The difference actually is usually stark. To buy a home, you just have to qualify for a mortgage. Yes, there are certain qualifiers, your debt to income ratio, a lot of those things, LTV will come into perspective. Is those LTV even count in that regard? I just know, just let me rant, okay? Those of you who are mortgage experts, please shut up and face palm and quiet on my behalf, okay? I'm not really well versed in this area. Now you get all that in place. They basically go and if you qualify, then you put in. They'll give you a pre-approval letter, and then you take that pre-approval letter and you put in your offer for the house. You put in the offer for the house. Your offer gets accepted. You basically get you qualify for the mortgage. They get all the paperwork done. You do your title and all that. You close and boom, you're in the house. The house as is sold to you. In constructing a loan in constructing a house, nonetheless, according to people I've spoken to, you apply for a construction loan. You make sure that you have a plot of land. A few things need to be checked. Ensure that you can actually build in that plot of land, or if it's I would say graded, sectioned, or what's the name of the thing they call the thing that cities do to tell you if it's commercial or if it's residential. I can't remember off the top of my head. And all of those things, are basically done in good faith. And then you get a commercial loan where you then get a general contractor, builder, and then they basically line up all your contractors to start building the house in different phases, which would then take you, basically anywhere from 90 days to 120 days. Some people it's taking longer, but it's a much longer process, and you get the exact house that you told them to build if everything goes well. Okay. There are also nightmare stories in that. There are also nightmare stories in buying a house that you didn't necessarily see what was under the hood. And so both of them will have their downsides. But at the end of the day, it does not mean that a person is not able to do it. It just depends on what it is that they want. And I think this is, in my opinion, very interesting at the end of the day that, okay, this is where we actually come to in regard to that. What I have seen in today's conversation regarding this is, you see, a lot of folk that play on console, they desire some of the things that are, in a sense, much more accessible to the PC gamer. It's just like saying, man, I want a kitchen that has this kind of whatever, and somebody tells you, well, a kitchen like that usually would not be built as a standard in a lot of residential projects that are built in subdivisions already for people to buy, or maybe even the time that a lot of the houses that they can probably afford were being built, no one was building kitchens like that. The only way they can build a kitchen like that is that they go ahead and build the house. And I see a lot of console players say, they want all this stuff like performance and frame rates and better resolution, and the exact response is you'd have to go build a PC for that, because consoles are not at the point where they can keep and catch up with technology, especially as game developers are making their games more and more demanding. Anyways, I gave that example just to basically show that this is pretty much the distinction between both of them. And at the end of the day, the building of the PC is actually like, I would say almost, if not almost infinitely. Infinitely, does it have an almost infinite? Is infinite, but let's just give that to me. It's almost infinitely easier than actually building a house or having somebody build it for you. It's basically a plug and play process. And if you don't want the plug and play process, you can buy a pre-built. I wouldn't say buy a pre-built because it will cost you a lot of money right up front. And that's usually scary. Some people go on Amazon and they look at gaming PC and they say, there's no way I can buy a gaming PC. Or some people go ahead and they look at, components of the best PC components in the market and say, there's no way I can pay for that. Well, again, would you build a $1 million house if you don't have $1 million? Would you build a $1 million home if you can only afford $300,000? That's, I think, what a lot of folk want to do. They want to get into PC gaming at the top level of the PC gaming market. And that doesn't necessarily work out for them. So you find them in a place where they're shocked when they see some prices. Oh, what is the best PC gaming component? Oh, it's a 4090. And then they go and look, oh, it's $1,700. The console's not even giving you 4090 performance, right? And so there are all kinds of very interesting aspects that can be looked at when you think about it from that perspective or from even other perspectives. And so at the end of the day, what I usually say is, preference is the best thing. And this is why you'll see only in certain cases I'll recommend for somebody a PC when they start asking for those custom aspects and those things that they desire that, console may be acting like it's selling to them, right? Because, yeah, it gives you kind of an idea. Okay, this is what you might want. Oh, maybe you want a bigger kitchen. Maybe you want a bigger study area or a bigger office for yourself and so on and so forth, right? But you cannot necessarily harness the fullest extent of what it is that you're trying to get out of the house unless you basically call the shots and say, yes, I would like for this office space to be this amount of square footage and for the kitchen to be able to have this, this appliance over here and this amount of countertop space over there. Those are the big differences that you need. And you know what's crazy though? Even when you buy a house, you can still make modifications to that house, but those modifications are limited, right? And in the case of today's modern consoles, you can make modifications to your house as well too, but they are also limited. Like in the PlayStation 5 and the Series X, the Series X, you can increase your memory in terms of, your storage, but that's as much as you can do. However, when you build a house, you can also do some really crazy things while you're building that house. And when you're building your PC, you can do that. And even better than a house with a PC, you can modify that PC and make it, more relevant to the day's best hardware that you can find in the market. So even as, we talk about the house, situation, you're still locked into the structure of the house because it's more of a fixed, entity in terms of the property that it is. But in the case of a PC, it's not. It's very flexible. I can take one case from 2018 and I can build multiple builds. And in fact, I have a case like that. It's a discontinued case. It's called the DIY Cuboid R. I have some power supplies that are older than some children, have been alive, and I still use those power supplies to basically do, different builds as I want. So that, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, kind of provides a little bit of light as to what's going on. I think it's just a matter of what it is that you need. It's not necessarily a matter of whether you can or whether you can't, or whether not everybody can. No. You can build a gaming PC for as much money as you can afford. It just takes your own, desire to want one. It's, again, for those of you who've built a house, I can still use this example. It's like maybe you want these kinds of cabinets, right? You want a certain kind of cabinetry. And then when you ask your builder's like, well, that's a little more expensive. And then, you make compromises. Because if your build budget can scale infinitely if you want. That you can put a $10,000, dishwasher if you want, right? Or you can put a $600 dishwasher if you want. It's all your choice at the end of the day. So I hope this, crappy analogy and crappy example has bridged the gap for people to start understanding, oh, okay, so this is what it's about. And again, before you say anything, ensure that you kind of understand that both houses, the built and the pre-built and the custom construction, will still serve the same purpose. They'll still house you. They'll still house your items. They'll still put a roof over your head, right? And the PC and the console will still carry out the exact same, the exact same goals and purpose at the end of the day. So that's what I think it's all about. However, if there are things that you want that the house that you bought cannot offer you, then you might be in a position where you need to build a house. Maybe you want a bigger backyard for the kids to be able to run endlessly and play, or maybe you want them to have a horse. Well, you ain't buying a house in town for that. That's for sure. You get what I mean? But I'll get out of your hair. Thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. And let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Peace out.